Hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. Do red flags literally have to slap us in the face before we move on from a relationship? Today on rSpace, we learn the more you trust your gut, the closer you get to living your best life. Up first, a serial cheater with a serial body count. Just learned my fiance was a serial cheater in her previous relationship. I'm in my mid-30s and my fiance is early 30s. We've been together for 2 years, 1 year living together, and got engaged this past December. Her ex reached out to me over social media recently to warn me about her past. He was with her for 12 years. She hooked up with 3 guys in year 3 of their relationship. They were long distance for that year and only saw each other on weekends and holidays. He said he had a few minor indiscretions too during that time, so he chose to forgive her and reconcile. They moved in together and the relationship was going great, and he was even thinking about proposing when she had a month-long affair in year 7. When he found out, he broke up with her and she decided to try a polyamorous lifestyle for a few months before trying to get back together with him. He said she was very remorseful, went to therapy, etc., so he decided to give her another chance. The relationship returned to a happy state for the next few years until she had a 3-month-long affair with a coworker in year 10. This was very disturbing because she was pressuring him to propose to her at the time and started to withhold sex from him all while she was sleeping with someone else. He said that his self-esteem was very low at the time and he gave in to the sunk cost fallacy, so they tried to reconcile. She was not very remorseful this time and blamed him for the affair because he would not propose. They went to therapy again and he eventually did propose to her in year 12. He discovered that she had been messaging her old affair partner shortly after proposing to her, and then he broke it off for good. I was really shaken after learning all of this. I asked a friend of hers if this stuff was true, and she told me that based on what she knew, it all sounded true. I don't know what to do. I love her so much. She's my entire world. I don't suspect that she ever cheated on me for the 2 years that we've been together. It's been such an amazing 2 years. We never really talked about her past. I knew that she'd been engaged, but she just said they grew apart. I confronted her about it this week, and at first she said that he was jealous and lying about her past, and she can't believe that I would believe a story like that. I told her I got confirmation that it was true, and she broke down crying, begging me not to leave her. She said that she has changed so much since then through therapy and self-reflection, and that she's a completely different person now. I find that a little hard to believe, since we only met 8 months after her previous relationship ended. Can people really change so much in 8 months? I'm currently staying with my brother until I can figure out what to do. I'm bothered by the behavior patterns. She pressured him to propose while cheating on him, and then cheated on him again when they were engaged. She also pressured me to propose. I was happy to do it since I'm at that stage in my life where I really want to get married and start a family. And I really don't think that she's ever cheated on me, but I wonder what may happen if or when our relationship gets a bit stale, or if I get very busy with work. What do you think I should do? Ask the community for opinions. Here you go. Venom1989666 says, how can you trust anything she says? She lied straight to your face when you confronted her. What's even more telling is she pressured you to propose just like she did her ex. Personally, I would run like hell in the other direction. Apprehensive Cost 496 says, my ex-wife cheated on her fiance a year before meeting me. I never knew the reason for their breakup. She just said he was abusive. Red flag missed. 8 years into our marriage, she cheated and never said she was unhappy to me. Past behavior is a good indicator of future behavior. The OP replies, what bothers me are the details I learned. She went to therapy multiple times for this in the past, and it didn't work then. Also, the way she cheated seems especially cold to me, pressuring her ex to propose and stopping sex with him while she was having an affair with someone else? Who does that? I would never in my wildest dream do something like that. Apprehensive Cost 496 replies again, that's messed up, but it just means this is her way of dealing with crap versus being an adult. You don't want that after you have kids. Trust me. The OP replies, that's what I fear the most. We've had an amazing relationship for 2 years. I really feel that she is my soulmate. But what happens when my shiny newness rubs off and life gets more stressful? Glittering Freedom 5 says, drop the soulmate nonsense, or you are open to manipulation. See people for what they are and love them with their flaws if they do the same for you. Key Zucchini 9764 says, you already know what happens when the newness wears off. She will move on to having a shiny new side piece. Nobody changes that much in 8 months, at least not the type of deep-seated change she needs. Honestly, The fact that you're staying with your brother is a large enough shift in your relationship that I wouldn't be surprised if she is dealing with it by already setting something up with someone else. Oh, and the pressuring to propose is a major red flag. This woman isn't who you think she is. Oh boy. I feel like there seems to be a lot of cycles repeating themselves here. She pressured you into proposing just as she pressured her ex. That doesn't seem like a coincidence. And she initially lied to you when you confronted her about it. If she had really changed, she would have told you the truth and wouldn't have felt the need to lie. Update. Well, it's all over, folks. Thank you to all who made such a great effort to show me the light in my previous post. It was very helpful in forming my resolve. I met up in person with my now ex-fiance's ex-fiance, and he gave more sordid details about how unforgivably cruel and evil she was towards him. He also told me that I should look into her work phone, since that was how he caught her messaging her old affair partner 3 years ago. Long story short, I asked to see the phone and she gaslit me again and refused to show it to me. I gave her an ultimatum that either she show me or I walk away for good. She wouldn't budge, so I walked. About 10 minutes after I left, she caves and says I can see it. Too late, I blocked her on everything. I don't ever want to see or hear from her again. I'm sure she has cheated on me, but I don't want to know anything about it. All future communication with her will be through a third party, and only to work out loose ends and logistics. Thanks again, everyone. Peace. The community has some reactions. First from regular Bat 4449. Smart. You know she deleted everything in those 10 minutes. You Martan Wurr says, buy her previous ex a thank you gift. He saved your butt. Now make sure you do the same for the next fool. OK Television 9278 says, dude deserves a bottle of fine whiskey. And he was right. She's still evil incarnate. The OP replies, crap, I might make him the best man at my wedding, if that ever happens. My trust in women is at an all-time low. Enforcement X chimes in, you should buy your ex-fiance's ex-fiance a round of beers. The OP replies, oh, believe me, I will. Very decent guy. Maybe my new best friend. Fluid Big 8126 says, the ex has been your guardian angel. He deserves a Reddit round of applause. The OP replies, yes, he does. Poor guy. At least I got out after 2 years instead of 12 like him. Good. She agreed for you to see this phone after she deleted anything incriminating. Wow. Her ex is really your guardian angel. Thank goodness he reached out to you. I'm glad you got out of there before it went too far. On to the next. Have you had an ex's ex reach out to you and spill the beans? What did you do? Up next, do cheaters smell different? How can we tell them apart from the rest? How do I screen out cheaters when dating? Please comment on your experience or your thoughts on how to evaluate a person's character to determine if they are faithful. One strategy I'm considering. If the dating partner asks why I got divorced, tell them the truth but downplay the pain it caused. Be a lot more understanding of the point of view of the wayward spouse. Now that you come off as a really forgiving, level-headed person, you can ask if they ever cheated on their previous partner. They still might not tell you the truth, but how they respond to your story might tell you a lot about their character. Angry Baby Mama from the community says, there's clearly no way. No one wants to be cheated on, and people get cheated on every day. There's no tag on these people to notify the rest of us to be cautious of them. I dated my ex for 3 years. When we met, I was fresh out of a relationship where I was treated terribly. He was there for me as a friend for 6 whole months. He would listen to me cry and console me with how tough things were. Eventually, we dated. I had so much respect for him for being there for me in a time I needed someone. Tell me why this man also ended up doing terrible things to me, including having a baby not by me during the course of our relationship. I cannot make these things up. People can trick the hell out of you. My parents aren't heroes says this. You can't pick cheaters out. Otherwise, people who want monogamy would never date them. My ex told me, God, that's so effed up, when I told him how my last boyfriend had slight overlap near the end of our relationship. And then what did he do? Cheated on me with over 10 girls over a year time period, one of which looked exactly like me. Livid Carpenter 130 chimes in. I usually ask about past relationships as what they did to learn about themselves and how did they grow from the past relationship. People can give their opinion about another person, but I want to know, did you learn and grow yourself, or are you still that same person? Clean the effing slate says, this is a fantastic response. People who chronically lie and cheat don't seem to have much capacity for the kind of self-reflection that fosters personal growth. Asking specifically what they learned and how they grew from it can give us a decent glimpse into the kind of person they are. If they provide a general reply such as, "I learned a lot and it helped me to become a better person," without any specifics, that reveals they aren't interested in having the kind of conversation that fosters honest, healthy relationships. It also could indicate that they will tend to gloss over things that you feel are important and aren't forthcoming about their truth. It's also a huge red flag if their answers are centered around bashing their ex. Example, "I learned that some people are just crazy," or "Now I know to avoid women with daddy issues." These kinds of responses show they can't take responsibility for their role in relationships and place blame on other people. X Nihilo0 says, "If they treat other people with disrespect, try to scam discounts and considerations at restaurants, play up misfortune online for attention or freebies, etc. Basically, any form of dishonesty is a red flag in my book. If they lie to other people, they'll lie to you. If they lie about other people, they'll lie about you. If they scam other people, they'll scam you. No matter how well they treat you, if they mistreat other people, they'll eventually mistreat you." Next thought from Tank Zealous Ideal 1125. Cheaters rarely tell they have cheated. You just see it from how honest they are. If they catch them lying about small things, they'll probably lie about big things. Do they stand behind their words and follow them with actions? If they don't, probably shouldn't date them. Representative AID27 says, "That's a pretty good yardstick. I found after having 2 cheating ex-wives that basic honesty and integrity is hugely important to me now. One example recently was this woman I went on a couple dates with, but we had a series of cancellations where she would want to do something. I'd make sure my schedule, I have 3 kids, was free, and then she'd cancel like 30 minutes before the date when I was already traveling to her place. One of the times it was because she was feeling sick, and I found out she had been drinking heavily the night before. Anything like that, where the person doesn't respect your time or isn't honest with you about stuff, is like an instant killer for me now. I have zero patience for it." Yeah, I feel like there's really no way to determine who is a cheater and who isn't. I mean, you can try to have those open and honest conversations. When you have deep conversations with people, one can normally tell if someone is genuine or not. I feel like usually your spidey senses start to tingle. I think oftentimes we ignore that feeling and we continue in our relationship, avoiding the red flags. I think maybe the trick might be to trust your gut. Update. When did you tell your children the truth? Advice. My, male 41, wayward spouse, woman 40, left me to be with her affair partner. The affair partner fell apart after 6 months, when the kids were around 4 and 6. I never talked to the kids why we were not living together, and they never asked. My wayward spouse was the one that broke the news to them. She probably told them some BS about how mommy and daddy don't love each other anymore. My daughters are now 14 and 12. I have a cordial relationship with wayward spouse, but I constantly feel like I am carrying a family secret. There are a lot of life lessons I want my kids to learn from my experience with their mom, like, there are consequences to your actions. Listen to your gut. Don't assume folks have the same moral compass you do, etc. But at the same time, this is a delicate time in their lives. They are teenagers. I want them to listen to their mother and not rebel against her authority. Their mother preaches the right stuff, but is obviously a hypocrite in her actions. We have 50-50 custody. If they ask, I won't lie, and I will tell them the truth. If they don't ask, my plan is to tell them around the age of 17 or 18. I want to impart my life experience before they head off to college, but maybe I should start discussing it sooner. If anyone has been in a similar situation, I would appreciate hearing your experience. Ask for some opinions. Be True to Self 2020 will start us off. Don't lie to them is all I can say. You can deflect, etc., but don't outright lie. Switchboard Friend says, there is no doubt that you tell them, but don't force the issue. This conversation is coming at its own pace. Eventually, your daughters will ask the question themselves and want your point of view. That's the proper time for this conversation. Typically, it comes when they start dating and have their first breakup. Don't give them a different version of events in the meantime. It's important that you don't lie to them, period. You can still teach them the life lessons without using your ex as the one and only specific example. Mehitable888 says, you might ask them even before any of the other stuff, if their mother has discussed your marriage at all or why you split up. They are both old enough for this. I was once 12 and a 14-year-old girl myself, and I heard a lot worse than this. Then, you might have a better idea of what to say. It's very important not only to tell the truth, but to correct any lies about you, your spouse may have told. Cheaters tend to lie about why they left and what their spouses were like. I would say this is pretty common. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I think the truth is necessary and it's important not to live a lie. But I think hearing about this at any age is sort of a huge blow to children. And maybe the longer you wait, the bigger the impact because the longer they've lived without knowing the truth. I feel like bringing it up and maybe asking them if their mother ever mentioned anything is a good start. Just make sure you're doing it for their own good and not out of justice or revenge to get back at your ex. Make sure you're doing this for the right reasons and not for selfish reasons. What do you think? Next, how to stop loving your cheater. Found out my long-term boyfriend and best friend hooked up multiple times and he blames me. My now ex-best friend told me on Christmas, of all days, that her and my boyfriend of almost 5 years hooked up about 4 times in the last year. No protection used. Heartbroken isn't even the word to describe how I feel. I confronted him about this and he admitted to it, but got really defensive and tried to flip it on me. He said in the very beginning of our relationship, which mind you was almost 5 effing years ago, he saw messages in my phone between me and an ex and in his mind, he felt as if I was going to cheat and now, 4 years later, he screws my best friend for a year to prevent himself from getting hurt. But the catch is, those messages were before we got together, which means I had no one to obligate my loyalty to. I just didn't delete them because I didn't think about it, and he's just now bringing that up. He never mentioned it before, and if he did, I would have simply explained it was a harmless convo and we weren't dating at the time. I felt like he's doing this to make me the problem, as if I was the one in the wrong. He says that it was only 4 times, but the crazy part is, the most recent time was only about 3 to 4 months ago. I feel so betrayed. I can't even look at them anymore. How do I move on from what I thought was the love of my life? How do I stop loving him so dang much? I just want these feelings to go away. Truly, I feel like I can't trust anyone anymore. I don't believe anyone when they say they love me because it's all make-believe. I have so many questions that I want answers to, but I know it'll make things worse. Let's see what the community thinks. First up, Suspicious Weekend 284. It's called changing the narrative to justify his cheating. This is a double betrayal and you would need counseling and therapy to deal with the drama. What made your ex-boyfriend tell you after so long? In the meantime, only you can decide how to proceed, but if you can't trust him with your best friend, who can you trust him with? The OP replies, I'll be looking for a new therapist ASAP. I can't even begin to describe how I feel. She told me because she had a guilty conscience, we were having some drinks and she got extremely quiet, and her energy shifted, and that's when she dropped the bomb on me. Bite Me 717 has this to say, tell them both to rot and burn, and cut them totally out of your life. Jinboy32 chimes in, I hope you ended the friendship also. I would also make sure you don't take him back as he is trying to blame this on you. The OP replies, oh yes, I cut her off, but part of me wants to keep asking her about it because I can't get it off my mind. She said she did it because at the time, me and her were in an argument and she wanted to hurt me, but she told me a whole year later. Only 4 times? Really? He can go to hell. They both can. Drop them. The short answer is that you can't trust him anymore and you can't trust your friend anymore. How can you love someone who you can't trust? If asking the questions will give you the clarity you need to leave and never look back, by all means, ask. The faster you leave, the sooner you can live your best life. Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. We'd hate for you to miss out. If you want to listen to more stories from me, check out our lounge, where I feature a larger variety of non-cheating related stories. See you there.